Shavua Tov, welcome, Agutevor, blessed week to everybody. Today we started learning Pirkei Avot. There is 6 Shabbatot in between today and Shavuot and 6 chapters on Pirkei Avot. So each week we learn one of these chapters in order to arrive to Shavuot ready spiritually and emotionally and intellectually to receive the Torah. But before we start the Pirkei Avot, there is a tradition to read a couple of lines. I will be using as a text the Sidur Teilat Hashem on page 271, but Pirkei Avot, they're all the same. And this is what we start with. Kol Yisrael shem chelek לעולם הבא, שנאמר, ועמך כולם צדיקים לעולם ישוע הארץ, נצר מטעי, Maaseh Yadai Leitpaer, which means all Israel have a share in the world to come, as it's stated, and your people are all righteous. We shall inherit the land forever. They are the branch of my planting, the work of my hands, in which to take pride. So this is a very important introduction to Pirkei Avot and our preparation for receiving the Torah. First of all, we are aware that Kol Yisrael Shem Chelek L'Olam Haba, all Jewish people are righteous. Whenever you look at a fellow Jew, you have to look at the positive, have to look at the mitzvot that he has, and look at him in a positive light. Now, that's how we receive the Torah, by all the Jewish people, keish echad velev echad, like one person with one heart, all united and all together. Now, it's also challenging to fulfill everything that the Pirkei Avot says. And some people can say, wait, this is not halacha, it's not law. So we know Pirkei Avot is the only part of the Talmud that doesn't deal with law. It's called Mile de Chatziduta, which means words of kindness. It teaches you how to be a mensch, how to be a good human, how we should behave. There is law, but you can be a crook and still be in between the confines of the law. So the Pirkei Avot prepares you how to be a little better than what the law requires. Yet, every single Jew should follow these teachings. Sometimes they might feel hard, difficult, but we start with the words Kol Israel. This chapter, these 6 chapters are addressed to every single Jew. Now, regardless, the Maharal says, of the fulfillment of the mitzvot or the lack of it, you have to look at every Jew as a tzaddik. And this is how you become a mensch. That's how you approach, you get ready to receive the Torah and to develop intellectually. First, your heart has to be on the right place. You have to learn how to look at every Jew in a positive way. And then he says, Netzer Mata'ai, which means the branch of my planting. What does it mean? For something, when you plant something, to grow right, you have to take care of it. It's not that you put a seed on the ground and that's it. So we have to put an effort in order, obviously, to actualize our potential and get the best, or Olam Haba, the best world to come that we can each have, because as we know, depends on our actions, what will happen with us. Now, the first Mishnah, we're not going to learn much, just one Mishnah in the beginning, one in the middle, one in the end, because it's a lot of material. But we start with the tradition. Moshe kivel Torah miSinai umesora leYoshua, means Moshe received the Torah from Sinai and he passed it on to Yoshua to the elders to the prophet. So I just want to kind of share a timeline so we know the years more or less that we're talking about. So Moshe lived before the Common Era, from the year 1313 until 1273. Yoshua took the leadership when Moshe died, as we know, 1273, before the Common Era, until 1245. And then we started the time of the Zekenim, the elders. That was about 300 years, from 1245 before the Common Era until 931. The prophets was about 600 years, that period from 931 before the Common Era till 313. And the Great Assembly, the Anshei Knesset Agdola, was from the Common Era 391, 361. And then the Mishnah started about the year 188 of the Common Era. So the Mishnah says, the mate of the Great Assembly said three things. Evu metunim vadin ve'amidu tamlidim arve ve'asusa yag laTorah, which means be deliberate in judgment. And this not only applies to a judge, but to every single person. How often we see someone doing something and we rush to judgment and say, oh, look, this is a terrible person or a terrible action. And during this chapter, the rabbis say more than once that it's important, ladun et kol adam lekav zchut, judge people in a positive way. Don't judge negatively. When I was a young boy, one of my teachers says, you know, after 120, you know how people are judged? They are showed two films, one of their life, what they did, and another one of people doing the same things that we did and how we reacted to it. What do we say? If we acted properly and we were kind, we see how we saw someone acting kind, say, oh, look how beautiful this person is acting kind out of the goodness of his heart. So we'll get reward. Some people say, oh, he's acting good just to show off. He doesn't really deserve any credit. So God forbid, if we acted in such a way, we won't get credit for our actions because we judge ourselves. So we have to be very deliberate in judgment and think that we're judging ourselves, our dear son, and try always to find a positive judgment, positive thing to say about others. Then it says, raise up many disciples. Have many students. Don't be too picky. Try to reach to as many people as possible. And finally, make a fence around the Torah. Don't go to the border, to the line. Why? Because you might fall. So the rabbis helped us with that and we find that we do things like we start Shabbat early, obviously because we love Shabbat, but also in case something happens, we have a few extra minutes. In general, it's important when something we care about, we make an extra effort to make sure that we don't go wrong with it. For instance, Shabbat, of course, we don't turn on the lights, but we put Scotch tape on the switch. So even if someone by mistake presses the switch, it's not going to turn on or off the light. So there is a law that requires you to do that? No. But we do that as an extra precaution because we care so much about Shabbat. We'll skip to next page. 272, Mishnah Yud says, Shmaya v'Avtalion kiblu meyem, Shmaya omer, אהוב את המלאכה ושנאת הרבנות ואל תתוודע לרשות. It says, Shmaya Avtalion received the oral tradition from them. Shmaya said, love work, avoid taking high office, and do not seek intimacy with the ruling power. And later in the Pirkei Avot explains that politicians usually look for people when they need them, but when you need them, they are not there for you. So they could use a person as a scapegoat. So it says, don't try to be too close to them. And we'll skip to page 273. Levi asked me a very good question today. The Mishnah 17 says, Shimon אומר, כל ימיי גדלתי בין החכמים ולא מצאתי לגוף טוב משתיקה. ולא המדרש עיקר על המעשה וכל ארבע דברים מביא חץ. Shimon, his son, said, all my days I grew up among the sages and did not find anything better for one's person than silence. Not study but practice is the essential thing, and whoever engages in excessive talk brings on sin. So in Hebrew says, לא מצאתי לגוף יותר משתיקה. I grew up among sages, I did not find better for the body than silence. So he asked me, well, what is this expression? What does the body exactly mean? So I found a couple of explanations that they say, when it talks about the body is physical things. If a person is lacking something physical, be silent. No need to jump to say, oh, I need this. If you're lacking in something spiritual, silence is not desirable. And there is another explanation that says that if you combines with whoever talks too much causes sin, because it shows that it's too focused on himself and leguf, in his body, in his physicality. And it's very important to listen, to be able to learn from other people. As we know, when we speak, we are not able to learn anything because we're only repeating something that it's already part of us. It's an interesting story about an arrogant man that during an assembly, he was speaking and speaking and speaking nonstop. And he says, and once I heard from a very wise person that he said this and this, and one of the persons, public, raises his hand and says, I'm sorry, but I can't believe that you heard this from a wise person. I said, why not? Because you never stop speaking. You can never hear somebody else. If somebody is so self-centered, it's very hard to learn to accept anything from the outside. And we know how important is the only way to grow. And then finally, the last Mishnah 18, רבן שמעון גמליאל אומר, על שלושה דברים העולם קיים, על הדין, על האמת, על השלום, שנאמר, אמת ומשפט שלום שפטו בשעריכם. Rabban Shimon Gamliel said, the world endures by virtue of three things: justice, truth, and peace. As it is stated, administer truth and the judgment of peace in your gates. And we usually finish the Pirkei Avot with Rabbi Hanania ben Akasha אומר, רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא לזכות את ישראל, לפיכך הרבה להם תורה מצוות שנאמר, אדוני חפץ, למען צדקו יגדיל, טובה ויתיר. Many people ask, why? We have so many mitzvot, 613 from the Torah and extra from the rabbis. So Rabbi Hanania ben Akasha answers, the Holy One, blessed be He, wished to make the people of Israel meritorious. Therefore, He gave them Torah and mitzvot in abundant measure. As it is written, the Lord desired, for the sake of Israel's righteousness, to make the Torah great and glorious. Nobody ever complains to say, oh God, why you gave me so much money or such a good health for so many days of vacation. No, something good, we want more and more. So the same is with mitzvot, is the best that we can have. God gave us so many mitzvot, and we must treasure and appreciate each one of them for the beautiful gift that they are for Hashem. Thank you so much for joining. God willing, we'll continue this week every day, 10 a.m. and 8:30 p.m. We have a class on Zoom, on Facebook, and on YouTube. Shavua Tov, may you have a week full of blessings, good health, nachat from the family, parnasa, abundance, growth in the spiritual and the physical in perfect harmony. Shavua Tov. Thank you.